Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Yin Yoga with Michelle, and thank you for choosing to practice with me today in our bodybuilding weightlifter series. This class is part 3 of 4, and we will be focusing on wrist, hands, and the forearms. And you don't necessarily just have to be a bodybuilder or a weightlifter to practice this class. If you have any issues with your wrist, this would really benefit you as well. Our props today will just be a yoga block if you have that, or some sort of a cushion. And just a reminder to be really mindful if you have or have endured any wrist injuries, anything related with your hands. Just be really mindful in each of the poses that we're going to be doing. As we work the wrist, a lot of times, this isn't an area of the body that we typically focus on stretching or lengthening, but we utilize our wrist all the time. So you may feel that the wrists are really tight in some particular poses that we'll be doing. And, just listening to your body. If it's a little too intense, see where you can pull yourself back a little bit, maybe just take a break and then come back into the pose. So in yoga practice, especially in Yin, we always like to focus on finding your edge. So not coming to a place where you're in a lot of pain, and just meeting yourself at where you're feeling, a nice, decent stretch, and working through, breathing through that. So let's get started, and we're going to get started in tabletop. And having your block or your cushion just in between the legs, as we're going to come back to sit on it in between some of our stretches here. So in our tabletop, I want to make sure that the shoulders are aligned over the wrist, hips are aligned over the knees. And I typically like to keep my feet about hip width distance. Some people like to bring the big toes to touch, whatever feels most comfortable for you. We do want to focus on really activating the hands through our wrist practice. So meaning that the fingers are spread nice and wide, and you really feel yourself planting down through the palms of your hands as well as the fingers into the earth. And getting started here, we're just going to rock forward a bit. So just having the shoulders come over the wrist, and we want to engage the core to support the lower back. Keeping the arms as active as you can. And then being careful not to hyperextend in the elbows if you are double jointed or have, a lot of extra flexibility in the arms. So being mindful of that. Taking a full breath here. And then just send the hips back towards the hips, towards the heels. And then we're just going to take this little rocking motion. So coming forward and coming back. And if at any time it feels really good for you to maybe stay in one position a little longer, by all means do that. This is for you, for your body. So you're listening to what your body is needing. And I'm really just offering most of my favorite wrist stretches here. So you can incorporate these, at any time into your training, into just your when you're winding down for the evening. All right, let's just take this one more. You might be feeling this already in the wrist and through the forearms. Good, and then just come back to neutral in your tabletop, and we're going to come in to sit on that block. So you can kind of just adjust yourself so you're supported on that block or that cushion. And then we're just going to bring the forearms together, interlace the fingers and the hands, and then just make these little rotations with the wrist. So you may be feeling this in the forearms, and then reverse going the other way. So we'll do this a few times, kind of our counter pose. And just making any movements here that feel good for you. And we'll make our way back into our tabletop. And then from here, you're going to open up the hand so the tips of your fingers will be facing the long edges of your mat. And depending on, the space of your chest, you might have your hands out a little further. And then once we get into this motion, you'll kind of feel what feels right in your body. So we're just going to shift now the body over to the right, keeping the arms nice and active, just like we did before. And then bring yourself back to center and then shifting over to the left. Keeping the core slightly engaged, pulling that low belly in just to support the lower back. And just taking that little rocking motion side to side. Fingers are spread nice and wide, hands are really active. We want to support the wrist through the hands. And just breathing in and out through the nose. Good, come back to center, and now bring the hands in a little closer towards one another. So bringing the base of the heels of the hands in a little closer. And then just taking that same little rocking motion side to side here, left to right. Just noticing where you feel this most. For me, it's definitely in the tops of my hands, my wrist, and my forearms today. Okay, just taking a few more movements here. Good, making your way back to center. Flip the hands so the fingers are facing back towards the top of your mat or facing forward. Come back to sit on that block or your cushion, and we'll do that same little counter pose here. So forearms together, interlacing the fingers, clasping the hands, and just making these nice little rotations of the wrist. So you may be feeling a lot of energy in the wrist right now, especially if this is not, an area of the body that you often give attention to. And even for me, I do it pretty often, and every time I do it, I feel it. All right, and let's just shake the hands out. Give those wrists a little bit of extra energy there, release. All right, we're gonna make our way back into our tabletop. And now we're going to keep that left hand planted down, and then you're gonna flip your right hand. So the top of the hand is gonna be on your mat or on the floor. And spreading those fingers out as much as you can. And now you're just gonna send your hips back towards your heels. And you wanna keep pressing the top of the hand into the mat, into the floor. And keeping that arm as active as you can. So this is a very small movement. You don't need to make a, really forcing the hips to go towards the heels, just until you feel that stretch through the top of the hand, the wrist, the forearm. And we'll just take 2 more breaths here. Last breath. Good, coming back to center, lifting that hand up, just doing some rotations. Definitely feel that, right? Good, shake it out. And then we'll make our way to the other side. So planting that right hand down, flipping that left hand, top of the hand is on the mat or floor. Fingers are spread nice and wide. And then sending those hips back towards the heels just until you feel that stretch. This side might feel a little different, so just being mindful of that. Good, and doing your best not to lock the elbow. We don't want to do that. Okay, let's take 2 more breaths here. Last breath. Good, inhale, come back to your tabletop, lifting that hand, doing those little rotations through the wrist. Good. And planting the hands back down. And from here, we're going to flip the hands. So we're going to send those fingers towards us. Palm of the hands are going to be to the mat. All right. And then from here, we're going to send those hips back towards the heels. Let the palms of the hands and the thumbs kind of peel away from the floor. You can have a little bend in the elbows. So you don't need to come to sit all the way down unless that feels good for you. You're going to really get a stretch through the back of that forearm. Good. Let's just take a few more breaths here. Pressing into all other four fingers and the base knuckle on the palms. Good. Then slowly making yourself your way forward. We're going to slowly lower the palms down. See if you can keep the thumbs up. Bringing the palms, the heels of the hands all the way back to the mat or to the floor. And then letting the thumbs come down. Taking a full breath here. Very good. And then slowly turning the hands so the fingers are facing towards the top of your mat once again. Come back to sitting on that block or your cushion and taking our counter pose, forearms together, interlacing the fingers, making those little rotations. I am definitely feeling that. All right, I'm just going to turn myself around to face you. And we're going to stay sitting on our block or our cushion. Good. And I'm just sending the arms out in front of you. Turn your fingers facing down on that right hand, and then just bring the left hand on top of that right hand and gently press that hand back. Keeping the arm as active as you can without hyperextending. And then notice if the shoulders are kind of up by the ears. Drop the shoulders down. And sitting up nice and tall, engage the core. And then release that hand. We'll switch over to the left, fingers facing down, right hand on top, gently pressing back. Good. Then releasing the hand. You can shake or make some movements here. All right. And next, we're just going to extend that right hand out. Palm of the hand is going to be facing forward, fingers facing down. You're going to bring that left hand, you're going to wrap the four fingers around the pinky, and then your thumb is going to come to the knuckle on the top of the hand. I'm just flipping my hand up so you can see. So the knuckle of that pinky finger, but your hand's going to be facing down. You're going to extend that pinky down and then gently pressing it back as you press the palm of the hand forward towards the floor. So you're looking for this stretch down the forearm and through the palm of the hand as well as through that pinky finger. We want to spread the fingers nice and wide, keeping the fingers nice and active. And then making sure once again that the shoulders don't hike up by the ears. Good. You're going to take an inhale, bring that hand back in. We're going to flip or switch, So now we're going to move on to that ring finger. So the four fingers of the left hand will wrap around that ring finger. Thumb comes to the top of that knuckle. And then you're going to exhale, gently press that palm forward. And pulling that finger down and back. Good. Take an inhale, come back. We'll move to the middle finger. Four fingers wrapped around. Thumb to the knuckle, gently pressing out. Keeping the fingers active. Good. Inhale, come back in. We'll move on to the index finger. Exhale as you extend. Fingers spread nice and wide, hands active. Good. Inhale, come back in. We'll switch to the thumb. This one's a little awkward, but same concept. We're wrapping the four fingers around the thumb. The thumb will come to that thumb knuckle on the top of the hand. As you extend out, you want to kind of move the thumb out to the side and then up towards you. And just being mindful here of any joint issues in the fingers or in the hands. Nice. Inhale, come back and shake that out. That feels so good. It's one of my favorites. All right, and making our way to the other side. So wrapping the forefingers from the right hand around that pinky on the left hand. Right thumb comes to that knuckle on the top of the hand. And you'll take your exhale as you extend the arm out, fingers spread nice and wide. Good, then inhale, come back in, moving to the ring finger. Same thing here. Checking in with the shoulders, notice if they're up by the ears. Good, inhale, come back in. Switching to that middle finger. Last time, coming to the index finger. Inhale, coming in, and now to that thumb. Nicely done. Release. Let's make some little rotations once again through the wrist. And doing that same stretch on the top of the hand. So bring that right hand out in front, fingers down, left hand on top, gently pressing the hand back. Good, releasing, switching to the other side. And that's it. All right, I hope these poses really felt good in your wrists, your hands, your fingers, your forearms, and that you're able to incorporate all or one, into your training or into any practice that you're doing. So thank you so much for practicing with me. Hope to see you again on your mat. Namaste.